Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I haven't done a video for a few days. I have been busy, and in a minute I'll go through what I've done with this confounded bloody bulkhead that I hate. It's oh dear, dear, dear. I sometimes wish I'd never started this. This is why it's becoming more and more of a chore to do this, because every single time I come out I think, oh, I'm going to get on with that today, and then I find something like a bit of rust or a badly put together part or something, and it's just, oh, for Christ's sake, you know, I just want to get on and paint that effing thing, and then I find something else. You know, it's very frustrating. Anyway, enough of that. I've had my first disaster. I went to put the parking brake, handbrake assembly back together, and I've lost it. I've got the actual shoes, I've got the drum, I've got the back plate, and I've got the cable, but I haven't got any of the springs or mechanism or anything from the inside. So luckily, Britpart and everybody seems to do a pair of kits. You get a kit of springs with your retainers and everything, the ones with those funny little slot-on washers for the shoes, and then you get another kit which has got all the operating mechanism that opens and closes the shoes. Well, opens the shoes, the springs close them. So luckily I was able to buy them. Now they came today from Craddock's. Now what's the betting? As soon as I open the bags, I'll find my other ones. I can't find them anywhere. I put everything, I don't know if you can see it in detail, but over here, there, you can see in the corner of the shelf, where my finger is, everything goes into these Chinese takeaway containers. I say Chinese takeaway because that's what they are. They have contained Chinese takeaway. I'm not being anti-Indian or anything like that. So, yeah, so these Chinese takeaway containers, everything goes in there. It's all labelled up, as you know. The box is all labelled up. I can't find those bits anywhere. I've got boxes all over the house. That's the trouble. So, and parts all over the house. So that was my first disaster. So what I've got to do now is get this bulkhead sorted. And this is proving to be a complete and utter total bastard. And I'll show you why over the next probably 2 videos. This one I'm going to cover the underneath. I've got it over here. You can see it's upside down. And I've got to get some paint underneath. I've actually made a frame. I don't know if you could pick it out, but there's the vertical, follow my finger, and then there's the horizontal there. I've made a frame that it can stand on, so it can stand up on its own without leaning against anything. So I can do the work on it and paint it, and then lift it off its stand and put it onto the chassis. So that's the plan without damaging the paint. But of course, underneath around these, where are we? These end pieces here, the mounts, they've all got to be done with it turned upside down, so I want to get paint up inside there. So anyway, enough waffling. Let me show you what I've done. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the bulkhead here. We've also got some other bits and pieces here. We've got the steering column. At the bottom of the steering column, I don't know if you can make it out here, but you can see the snakes all over it. That's where the rust gets under the paint and starts to creep, and that's what you've got to look out for. So that's all been rubbed back and sandblasted and everything. This is a joke. In this modern society where we're supposed to be not just throwing things away, there's a bearing here and there's a bearing here, okay? You can't buy those bearings. I think you might be able to get the top one. But you cannot get, for love nor money, you cannot get that bottom bearing. So you have to buy a complete shaft and throw your old one away. So that's like, what's that, like a 2 foot length of 1/2 inch diameter steel, a 2 foot length of tubing, all the welding, all the brackets, all the man hour, all the work that's gone into that. You've got to throw it away because you can't buy this epoxy bearing. It's disgusting. Come on, Will, what are you doing? It's disgusting. Again, another moan. Bracketry on the clutch boxes and everything, and the boxes and the brakes go. The paint is just absolute junk. I can show you on this. This is the plate that goes over the clutch. You can see the bright spots here. That's where there's been something on under the paint, oil or water or whatever. So the paint hasn't stuck. So when you blast it, the paint just blows it away, and it's clean metal underneath. It's not rust. When it's rusty, that's how it looks. If you look at that edge there, come on, camera, focus. Focus, there you go. You can see you get this sort of spotty effect. But the underside is perfect, so I'm going to put it on upside down. Bracket there for the ECU. That's got the first thing to go on the bulkhead because the brake pipes and everything run inside that. Got the box there for the clutch. Every single piece that's fitted to this bulkhead, all around here, I mean all around here where the master cylinder goes for the clutch and everything, everything is just plastered in silicone, and it looks like a drunken 3-legged dog put it on with a fucking twig on a Friday afternoon just before we go home. It's everywhere, all down the sides here, and on the sides here, instead of having a nice plug to plug this hole, you see the remnants. you can see there was a square, if I put this down, you can see here there was a square sort of stuck on pad, and then it was just plastered in this bloody sealant. It just, you know, it's just so unprofessional. It's just crap, absolute crap. Really, really bad. You can see it better on that side. I mean, it's just disgusting. Anyway, so onto the bulkhead. Found a couple of issues. There was a hole here. No, there was a hole here, that's right. There was a hole here where the sealant had just been brushed across, so water was getting in there. There wasn't a hole here, but there was no sealant in that across there, so I've just sealed that up. You can see on there, I think I mentioned before, when mine was built, they completely missed the centre of the plugs and ran the screws down the side. So you can see that's rusted there. And again on this one here, and again on this one here. I've managed to straighten these out a bit better than that one. That one was fine. And also down here, if you look, you can see they've run down the edge here with sealant all the way along, brushed it on, and that's to seal the flange between the outer skin here and the bottom skin here. But there's a notch in there, and they didn't seal that, so any moisture could get in there. This is a double skin here. I don't know if you can just see inside those holes. There's another skin behind there. So you've got this shape here, these stiffeners, and moisture and stuff gets inside there and stays there. I mean, when I sandblasted areas of this, I was amazed to see there was actually sand inside there. And I'll show you in a minute how I got to that. But got the same on this side, and this is where you get all the rust, and all the rust starts in these seams and everything. But if you look inside here, if you look up underneath, you can see you've got some holes. And you can see there's 1, 2 and 3. And what I've done, I've measured it up from the outside using the spot weld as a reference point. So you can see here, there's a spot weld there, there's a spot weld there, there's a spot weld there, and you can see them on both the inside and the outside. So you can measure from them. And what I've done is I've drilled a hole here, here and here. So I can get my lance in there and spray wax oil that way, that way, that way and that way on all three. So I can fill those with wax oil, and I've ordered some 9mm holes. I've ordered some 9mm blanking grommets because I don't have any, and then we can put some grommets over there, so that'll be all nicely wax oiled. I'm also going to have to put some seam sealer along this edge. This is underneath here. I'll show you more when we got the lip. But because you can see there's a gap there, I don't want wax oil to run out underneath the carpets on a hot day, so I'll put some seam sealer on there just to seal that in. So that's basically that, guys. So I need to now get in and get this painted. So I need to get the area inside here painted. This is the foot where it mounts to the chassis. I want to get that painted. I want to get all along underneath here and in here and everything painted. And under here, that painted, and there. And then we'll get it all covered in wax oil. Then, well, I'll get it all painted first, and then we'll wax oil it afterwards. In fact, I might wax all this before I put it on. So there we go. So there we go. But this one, I wax oiled this from day one when I got it, and I did actually spray wax up inside that hole there. If you can see that hole, just the end of my finger there, I got that's up inside there. So I filled up all up in here, all on the back of these bolts, and everything was all covered in wax oil. I also sprayed it up inside here. I've spent hours and hours and hours getting wax oil off of this, and every time I look at it, I find another bit, along with another bit of rust or something else. So there we go. All that shitty weld repair and everything down here, which is quite disgusting. I'm just going to leave it as it is. You can't see it. There's sound ending on there, and it's all hidden on the other side. So as I say, it looks disgusting, and it is disgusting. It should never have been done. It should have been thrown away. But it is fit for purpose. So it stayed together. It hasn't rusted. It hasn't cracked. So, you know, really, it's just cosmetic. And the fact that you can't see it on the finished vehicle, I think is, you know. And then down here, remember we had all that rust. So I've treated all, I blasted all that, treated it all, and then gone over with some etch primer. So that should be good. We need to make sure that everything goes back together and is all sealed. I use some polyurethane sealant, this stuff here, which you get from Middleton Panels and Paint. This stuff's great. But what I intend to do, I've got all new gaskets and everything for around here where the brake gun everything goes. And what I tend to do is run a bead around and let that sort of squeeze out, rather than just plaster on afterwards like they did. It's just a complete and utter disgusting mess. If I've got some photos, I'll put some in there. So there we go. So I'm going to get some painting done now. So I'll see you in a minute. And as if by magic, here we go, guys. All done. So sprayed all the front panel here, as you can see, gone all around the inside of the actual tunnel as well. But the main thing I wanted to do was get this area up in here painted, get some good paint up in there. I don't know if you can see, but you can see that in the paint there's some sand, well not sand, it's actually blasting grit, which is a bloody pain in the ass. You blow it off and blow it off and wipe it down and wipe it down, and then when you spray it, it finds ways out. So not to worry, it's underneath, no one's ever going to see it. It's going to get all plastered with wax oil anyway. But we can see here, if we look in the paint, you can see there's some bits of it in there. And then the same if we look on here. I mean, you can see it's ever so shiny, the reflection of the foam and that in the paint, but it's got this, when we look at the sides, you can see there's no dust in it at all, and we've got some good reflectivity in the paint. So, little practice there. That's with my little tiny crappy gun. It's just, I'll show you the gun. It's just a little round nozzle thing. It doesn't even spray a fan. There we go, just this really old gun. I've had it for years. And it's just a round nozzle. It doesn't have any fan or anything on it, so it's good for getting in and out of little bits and pieces, like for when you have to get in and out around these brackets. When I actually turn it over, what I will do is do all the little bits and pieces with that, and then go over the visible areas with my bigger gun, which is a fan, and that will get a nice coat of paint on it. Then, of course, from the factory, this would have been clear of a base, which means it would have been a base paint covered with a clear lacquer. This paint is actually 2K, so it's actually the colour is in the paint and the gloss is in the paint as well. Sorry. So there we go. So happy with all that. It's all looking good. So get it turned over and do some more work tomorrow. And here we go then, guys. Next day, bulkhead's turned over now on the frame. You can see I've got it bolted down here through the base, and it's sat there. It's quite solid. That means I can work on it, I can spray it, and I don't have to lean it against anything. I don't have to touch it. So makes sense to have that frame there, I think, rather than having it leaning against the wall or something and falling over. And also when you're spraying down low, I can lift it up on this great car lift, and I can basically be spraying here at head height. So it'll be fantastic. So that's something to look forward to. You can see there now we've got all the shiny paint under there, which I've now rubbed back, because if you remember it had the grit in it. So I thought I'll just rub it back, just remove most of the grit, and then I can just quickly blow it over again. But we can see down here where this stand is, we've got some lovely thick paint on there now, and then we'll get some wax oil in there inside that box section. That should be good to go again for another 10 years at least. I'm going to be painting all of this. I don't know if I'll go down the outside here, because I think that's sort of, you know, with the wing here and the door here, I'm sort of worried about the colour match. I think it'll be okay, but I think what I might do is just spray sort of up to this edge, and then I can just polish it. Although saying that, it does have a scratch over here, which you Land Rover boys are going to be, oh my god, look at that, it's got this almighty scratch there. It must be at least 6mm long. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I could easily just touch that in, couldn't I? So I think I may not paint this, because I think that's sort of asking for trouble. I mean, the paint match looks bloody awesome. When you look at it down here, you know, this is the new paint, this is the old. It's pretty good, but when you've got a door and a wing next to it, I think it's asking for trouble. So I think I might leave that. Up here, I'm going to have to do the front, because the front, unfortunately, had lots of bits and pieces in the paint. So I've had to polish them out. So I think I'm going to have to paint the front, and also around these hinges was rusty as well, if you remember. But I think what I'll do is avoid going around the sides. So the only area we'll see where there's going to be a difference is where the wing is here, but that's at 90 degrees to it, so there you're okay with the mix. Again, you've got the bonnet, which has got a great big gap, and again 90 degrees to it, so we'll be okay. The windscreen sits up here obviously, but there's a great big foam seal in between, so that's going to be okay. So I think really what I'll do is paint up to this corner down here, and go like that. So what I'm going to do now, if we look at this top edge, and this is something that all Puma owners need to be aware of. What they've done here, there's a row of spot welds along the top here, you can see, along this top edge. And one of the downsides of spot welding is you can get this flash off the side, and you can see some there. See, just in front of my finger, and it's like a flash of hot metal that spatters out. And sometimes it sort of sits there like a miniature crisp almost, just sitting like a little raisin. And of course they don't take it off, they just paint over it. But then the trouble is, behind it is bare metal. So when it flakes off, rust starts. And if you remember, I had some rust here, I had a bit of rust here. Now, I don't get this because Land Rover have gone absolutely mental with their sealant. I mean, you look at it here, it's just a complete and utter mess. I'm not going to take it off because it seals, you know, but it's a complete and utter mess. But they've put nothing here, which seems really, really strange. So I'm going to put some sealant in there along this joint just to seal that gap in, so that any water that does leak in here will sit on the surface rather than get into that, in between that seam and start rusting. I have actually seen, I can't remember when, I saw a Puma bulkhead that was all rotten all along here. All the way along here it was rotten, and that was where water had got into that seam. So we're sealing that up, I think, and not too big a job either. The worst part of it is taking the windscreen out, is breaking the top seal, but the bottom seal is nothing to worry about. So there we go. If you're doing some work on your Land Rover body-wise, I think that's going to be worth looking at. Okay, so I'm going to put a line of sealant along there, and I'm also got to do this area down on the end of these floor. This is what I was talking about yesterday, where I showed you upside down. Well, not yesterday to you, a few minutes ago to you, but this seam here has some water where I've been sanding using wet and dry. These are the 3 holes I drilled. You can see we can look inside there now into those areas. I can plug them. We'll put some wax on and plug them. I'm going to put a line of seam sealer along here, because you can see, if you look close up there, if I can catch it in the light, you can just see there where the metal pressing, just see it there, will allow the wax oil to run out. So I don't want that to run out into the carpet and make a mess of the carpet, stink and everything. So I'm going to put a line of sealant along there, seal that in. So I'll get that done and then I'll be back. And there we go, guys. Done the sealant across the top now. I just basically used polyurethane sealant and polyurethane adhesive actually, like Tiger Seal, and just gone along and then run a wet finger down it just to seal it all in and push it down into that gap, because there is a gap between this panel and this panel. So you can see right there where the spot weld sort of compressed this metal, so it's dimpled down. So it's very baggy, this bulkhead. That's why they had to do that weld repair on it. It's not fitted together very well. So there we go. I've also gone around the tops and the sides of these mudguard brackets so the water can't get sort of down in behind there, because there is a bit of a gap, and I've done that one as well. And then moving around to the inside, I've done the sealant there across the bottom, so those holes, those gaps are all sealed in now, and same across there. And also down here, the 2 holes that were sort of left, I don't know, just sort of left with nothing in them really. So I don't know what they've done there. Maybe there's a screw in there and I shouldn't have filled them in, we'll see. But it wasn't a hole right through, it was a blind hole, so I've just siliconed it in to stop any water that does get in here. It doesn't. What you're trying to do is, if you think of it, if you've got water on a surface like this, it will evaporate and dry out. If water gets under there, say, it will stay there for probably 5-10 times longer than it would on the surface, and it will sit there and just start corroding. And once it starts corroding, it gets a better surface area for the moisture, and then it becomes porous, and then it just corrodes even more. And it's just it's a never-ending cycle then. So there we go. So that's all that done. So I've now got to leave that to dry before they can do anything else. So I think what we'll do is put this handbrake backplate back together, because the parts have turned up. And now that as soon as I put it back together, I'll find the old ones. So let's get on with that. Okay, so first things first, I've got a big blanket here because I'm a big tart and I don't want to scratch this freshly painted backplate, which has all been blasted and primed and painted with Corylus S primer and then RF16 gloss black. On the subject of Corylus, I actually sent them an email the other day and I asked them just basically, is it possible to put 2-pack paint over Corylus S primer? And I got no reply. So thanks for that, Corylus. I have promoted your products endlessly in my videos and you can't even be bothered to reply to my emails. Great customer service, thank you. Right, so as I mentioned before, I lost these parts, so I've had to buy new ones. In case you need to get them, this is the kit of springs, ICW 100050, and then this one is the actuator and everything, the bits that go in and spread the shoes apart, and that is ICW 500020. So I've actually lost these. I put them in a box. They were all in a box together. Mine were absolutely fine. There was no wear on them or anything, so I don't know. I've had to buy new ones. They were only, I think this was about £7 and this was about £9 or something, so it wasn't a lot of money. Basically that's what we've got here. We've got the old shoes here. You can see they look a little bit rusty. They need a bit of a clean off, so I'll give them a clean. And I'm also going to remove this pivot just to put a little tiny bit of grease on there, because you can see it's all a bit dry in there. And then we've got over here the cable, which needs to go in as part of the assembly. So we'll get that in now. So first things first, I'm going to get the bench cleared and get those shoes apart, and then we'll look at getting that put back in with some grease. Okay, so we've got it all apart now and all cleaned up and everything. So worth noting that this goes in one way, so I've put a mark on there, so that's the front. We can see which way around these go because the shoe's been rubbing here, the actuator's been rubbing there, and we've got everything off here with the springs. Now I'm going to use the anti-seize that came with the kit for the output shaft. I'm just going to put a drop of that on here. This is like an aluminium anti-seize grease, and it's very nice stuff actually. So we'll just put that on there, let that work its way in. Then when I took this apart, it was quite, and I'm just going to put some on here, nothing too much. I'm just going to put some down there because you can see where it's been rubbing on the actual brake itself, so on the shoe itself, should I say. So just put my finger in it, wipe that off. So we will put this together like this. So that's going to go like that. And then we've got these two little spring washers, they're going to go in like so. And then we've got the actual washer on the top. We'll have to somehow compress this together and put the spring clip on. So let me have a little think about how we're going to do that. Okay then guys, so we got the spring clip back in. I tried using this little cheap ball joint splitter, but I got deep enough here to get in there. And then I tried using more grips and all that. I ended up doing this. Now, I don't suggest you try this at home because you may injure yourself, but this seems to work. Here we go. I've got a vise, I've got an aluminium block, 2 bits of aluminium angle, and then I've got here is an old, a small clamp, which is holding the pin against the lever. Then the vice jaws are squeezing the lever at the back, the actual shoe itself, and then we've got a 17mm open-ended spanner, and that is actually compressing the springs down, which is clamping the washer in there, and then you're able to fit the clip in there. And the clip just about goes into a 17mm spanner, as you can see. So that's the way to do that. So we could take that out now, and that's that done, and then we can put it all back together, back to where we were with the spring in there. Alright, so here we go. This is the first time I've ever done this, so any fumbles along the way will be the same fumbles as you'll make. You might not make them if you've watched me. So we've got the clip on here. So this cable is literally just going to press into the back of the plate like so. That clips in, and we're going to slide this up. Get that out of the way. I don't want it to scratch. I don't want that to scratch my nice fresh paint. So what I'm going to do is cut that cable tie off. Right, cut that cable tie off, and then that can hang out of the way then. It won't scratch my nice new paint. So that's that done. Now that cable has got to go into the back of here. So I'm not sure you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here, but I'll try. So that cable has got to go into the back of here like so. Into there. Like so. There we go. And that's it, locked in now. Okay, so much easier when you're not trying to look after all your paint all the time. So then these can flip over, sit in there like that. So that's that done. Right, now we've got this mechanism down here. So get these parts out. So we've got our 2 little claws there, and then we've got the slider in the middle. So I'm guessing what we'll do is we'll put a bit of the anti-seize on here. A bit on there, a bit on there. Okay, now the thread, the bolt has got thread lock on it for some unknown reason. And I'm going to put a washer on there because I can. So an M10 stainless washer, and put that through, and then this will screw onto that like so. There we go, now it's rid of the thread lock. That's okay, that can stay like that. Right, so now these are going to go this way around, like that, on there, and that's going to put in there. So we need to get the spring, and that's going to go in there like that. And I don't think it's going to want to stay. Let's get my pack of springs. We need the long blue one, and that's going to go, I'm assuming, yeah, because I can see the marks where the old spring was. That's going to go in there, so we'll pull these together. Like so. This looks easy on the bench. I should imagine it'd be quite difficult in the truck. So what I use here is like a little pointy rod, and I hook that around the spring, put that in the hole. Okay, and then you can pull back on your little pointy rod and just literally manipulate the spring into the hole. Let's get a screwdriver. Just keeps wanting to fall off the bench, and I think we're going off camera. Come on. There we go. And that's that all held together now. So then you can see how the mechanism works. The bolt will pull back and adjust those shoes out. Now we need to make sure that everything's correctly in position, just like so. So that's all good. Now what we can do is turn this over and just pull that down a few turns. Just so it's not just flopping about in there. Okay, that'll do. Right, the sun's just come out. Turn this over now, and then we're going to put in the springs on the back. Let's pull this out. So we've got three of these. So we've got the brilliant, fantastic quality Britpart parts. It doesn't fit through the hole. Look at that. Oh, for crying out loud. Bloody Britpart. Oh, I'm going to have to file these off. Look at the quality on that. Hey? Amazing quality, isn't it? Fantastic. Absolute crap. Right then guys, so there we are back together. I haven't filmed putting these back together. I started to and then turned the camera off because the swearing and the shouting about Britpart's quality of parts would not been good on the camera, and there's a bloody helicopter that keeps just going over and over. I don't know, taking pictures for Google Earth or what. Let me turn this off a minute. Right, so he's gone. He'll be back in a second. So there we go, that's all back together now. But yeah, the quality of those parts is disgusting. So that's the part number, okay, from Britpart. Avoid it like the plague. I see on there, country of origin India. It's absolutely total shit. Absolute junk. So there we go. As soon as I'm not going to put this on now because I don't want to use those parts in my Land Rover. They are shit. So I'm going to my old parts will be here somewhere. I won't throw them away. I don't throw metal away. I put metal in a scrap bin. So I'll find them and I will replace those with the genuine parts, because in fact these springs might even be junk as well. So who knows? Probably just worth changing a lot of it. So there we are, another waste of money. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting sick and tired of people supplying shit, okay? Because what happens is these people They produce this crap for peanuts, everyone buys it, and then the people that make the proper stuff go out of business. And here's that fucking helicopter back again. There we go, guys, there it is. What's that, police or what? I don't know what it is. Look, it's just bloody sitting there. Go away! My nerves. Right, it's gone again. Thank God for that. I've been hanging around about 10 minutes there. Yeah, so what I'm saying is these people keep making this stuff and they make it for peanuts, and then you've got the people like the little English company that will be making this for a couple of pound more. They go out of business because no one buys the product anymore, and then all we're left with is the cheap shit, and they put the price up. So I mean, you know, let's look again at this. We've got that part there that I've had to file down. I mean, look at the quality on that. Look at it, it's not even in the centre, it's absolute crap. And that, I mean, this soft as shit, that is absolute junk. I think it's gonna, when you put that in, it kind of goes together like that. You turn it 90 degrees and then it goes like that. And there's this bloody helicopter coming back again. And that's, you know, it's just shit, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to call it a day there, guys. I don't know what that spring now is for. Obviously, this kit does a number of different things. But I'll call that a day because this helicopter's pissing me off. I'll see you all soon for another one. Bye for now.